I mean, even the attitude towards this haunted horror show of a house is amazing to me. Like, first of all, I mean, I don't even know. That's, like I said, if I bought the house, I'm burning it down. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to build a new house.
So therefore, you're not allowed to buy the house.
I'm not. Welcome to Splintered Spirits, the podcast where we explore what lingers after the lights go out. Memories, energy, and the mysteries that refuse to be buried. I'm your host, Gary, here with my nephew, John Santa from Santa Paranormal, and today's episode is a story not just about haunting, but about survival. If you've seen The Conjuring, you know the broad strokes of what happened to the Perron family inside that Rhode Island farmhouse. But what few people talk about is what came after. How do you move forward once your childhood becomes one of the most infamous haunting cases in modern history? How do you reclaim your own story after the world has turned it into folklore? Our guest, Andrea Perron, lived through it and then spent decades trying to understand it. Through retrospection, writing, and acceptance, she's turned something that could have destroyed her into something profoundly meaningful. And now she's facing a new battle, brain tumors, with the same grace and courage that carried her through her childhood haunting. Today she joins us to talk about survival in every sense of the word, the long road of processing those early years, how her understanding of spirit has deepened, and what has led her to a new mission to preserve the farmhouse that started it all through a GoFundMe campaign. Believe me, I would have burned that place down a long time ago. This isn't a ghost story. It's a story of healing, perspective, and the quiet resilience it takes to live with the past. And as Annie so emotionally puts it, still keep moving toward the light. Let's dive into the conversation.
I'm there. I mean, they're in it. I mean,
they're in it. Yeah.
And I've got a doctor that told me, "Don't you worry, honey. I've got your back."
There you
That's
go.
all I needed to hear.
Good. That is so good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Andrea, you are a survivor on many levels. That is for sure.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, it's.
This is true.
Well, first of all, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down with us here on Splintered Spirits. It's an honor for us to have you, especially, you know, I would say in this paranormal space that John's been in for a while, but I'm very new to. Mm-hmm. You are an absolute legend. I mean, for numerous reasons, just as someone who's experienced probably the worst there is of it, your books, the stories you've told, everything in your approach to the space. Now, for us on this thing is about me and my sort of understanding of what the paranormal is and what John does and what spirits are. So
yes.
You, for anyone that's going to be listening to this who doesn't know who you are, listen, go buy your fucking books and read the stories. And you're going to find a link to those books in my link tree because we're here. I mean, you should know this woman by now. It's the woman who lived in the Conjuring House, for Christ's sake. So I don't want to waste a lot of time on doing another thing about what's the difference between your story and the movie.
Yeah. No, most everybody knows that now, I think.
They should know it.
They should know.
They should know it. But,
yeah.
You know, what I want to know is, so you moved into that house when you were 12 and you were there for 10 years.
Yes.
At what point did you start to understand what it really was that you were dealing with?
Within 5 minutes.
So in 5 minutes as a 12-year-old, you're like, that's a ghost.
That's a ghost. Well, no, I didn't think he was because he appeared absolutely solid to me. I mean, absolutely solid, like I could have walked up to him just like you, put my hand on his arm, greeted him. I greeted him as I walked through the dining room. And he did not, he stared right through me like he didn't see me, like I was an invisible ghost. And he was completely fixated on Mr. Kenyon packing the last of his wife's china out of his corner hutch cabinet in the dining room. And it was freezing cold and there was a swirling ice storm going on. But you know, when you're a swamp Yankee and it's moving day, you move. You just put everything in the truck and you move. And so we did, very slowly up into the woods to our place in the country. And within 5 minutes, I walked in with a box marked kitchen for my mother. She was already in the kitchen with my baby sister, April. And then the other 4 of us were big and strong enough to be able to carry boxes marked kitchen. And when I walked in and I saw him, I thought, well, that is a very oddly dressed man. because he was not wearing clothes that I was in any way familiar with as a child. Everything looked like it was handmade. It was hand-stitched, including the little fluffy hat that he had on. And he had his arms crossed, and he had his leg mounted up against the wall, and a quirky grin on his face. And he was just staring at Mr. Kenyon, just staring lovingly at him.
Right. So
and then my sister Nancy, and then Christine comes in, and she walks into the kitchen, and she's like, "Who's that man with Mr. Kenyon? He's dressed funny." So
and everybody saw it.
Everybody saw him.
And you were the eldest, so they were even younger than you.
They were younger than me, and they
didn't know what it was. So when did you realize, wait a minute?
Then Nancy, then Cindy came in, and she was the youngest. April was already in the kitchen, so Cindy was number 4. And she came in the kitchen, and she said to my mother, "Mom, who's that man with Mr. Kenyon?" And Mom said, "There's nobody with Mr. Kenyon. His son is on the way. He's not here yet." And so I'm sure that we as children assumed that a neighbor had stopped by and that he was just shy and he did not want to interact with little girls coming in with boxes. And then my sister Nancy walks into the kitchen and she leans over to Cindy and she says, "Sin, did you see that man with Mr. Kenyon?" "I did, but he just disappeared." And boom, there it was.
So when you said lovingly looking at him, so you think that he was looking at him from a place of affection and admiration?
Yes.
Wow. And then when did you he disappeared. That makes you think as a 12-year-old that's a ghost. But what was it? How old were you? Or what was the moment where you really started to look into what are these ghosts? What is happening?
5 minutes after we moved into the house.
So, okay. So then you're like, we have ghosts here.
Instantaneous for me.
Okay.
Yeah, instantaneous for me. I knew that we were not living alone. I knew immediately that we were not living alone. I knew that this was very, very different from the house that we had just come from and that nothing was ever going to be the same.
So what changed for you from what you thought a ghost was in that moment in those 5 minutes versus what you think a spirit is now, if at all?
The same.
It's the same. And what is that? What is a spirit, Annie?
Spirit is... Okay, I'm going to give you my most famous quotation now.
Okay.
That's written on all of my coffee mugs because, when you're a superstar, you have your own coffee mugs. And because coffee is the nectar of the gods.
I agree.
I have a coffee mug that says this. To be touched by... All right, let me get it right. To be touched by spirit is not a curse, but a blessing. It is that rare glimpse into the realm from which we come and will all inevitably return. Be not afraid. Be the light you seek.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be emotional, but I am a very emotional person.
That's okay.
And I can't help it. And I cry during every interview, and everybody knows it. So I'm sure
Take a moment. I'm going to do my best to try to make you laugh. That's kind of how I operate because I'm very uncomfortable around.
Already, just by suggestion, mere suggestion, I can laugh just that fast.
Okay, good. So when I hear a quote like that, do you look at spirit from a religious place, or in terms of what spirit is inside of us?
Yes. Okay, you asked me a very important pre-question the other day when we were talking before we did this interview. You asked me a very important pre-question. And then you told me to stop talking because you were afraid that I was going to spill all my good stuff and that it wouldn't be ready for your show.
I did. I wanted you to save it for the show.
I know. Okay, so I didn't have to save it because it is literally ingrained in me. It is a part of me. I participate in my own healing. I believe that all human beings need to be healed. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I also know All right, I'm just going to read this to you. I'm just going to read what I wrote down for you because, Gary, I cared enough to make some notes. I never make notes. I always shoot from the hip. But
I'm flattered.
I want you to hear this.
Let's hear it.
I choose to participate in my own healing. I am totally in on spiritual warrior aspect of who I am at my core, in my soul. Good is my mission, and God is my champion, and all faith is essentially paranormal in nature. We believe in Jesus Christ. The vast majority of people on this planet believe in a higher power. They believe in cosmic consciousness. They believe that there is a divine creator. Most people on this planet have a belief system. Even if your belief system is that you don't believe in God, that is still a belief system. And belief is what fires the mind and powers the soul, and our superpower as human beings is love. And when we tap into that, when we get there, when we understand that all of this is one singular realization of oneness, that we are one human race, and that we are all beloved, and that we are all created in a special way, and each one of us so individual, even when our cells split and we have an identical twin, there's still something that is different. It is two individuals who are interacting with each other and loving each other and being a family. And that's what's happening now. And who would have ever thought that with my diagnosis 15 months ago and all the upheaval around the farm and everything that's been happening and all the drama, that it would be me getting a deadly disease that would congeal and coalesce an entire community of very disparate, very eclectic individuals in the paranormal world. I mean, John, you've got to know, we're all so different. Some of us believe in the Celts, and some of us believe in the this, and some of us believe in the witches, and some of us believe in the, and we're all involved in spirit. We are completely, utterly, totally surrounded by spirit at all times. And I learned that as a very young child. And then here's the delve, and here's the deep delve. I needed to know. I needed to understand what was happening and what we were seeing in that house. And because I was a very precocious child and I was intellectually advanced for my age, I started reading Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Walt Whitman, Nathaniel Hawthorne, all the metaphysicians. I wanted to read what they had to say. What is this? What is the House of Seven Gables? What is going on in that house that draws people from all over the world to feel the energy of that house? That is exactly the same thing that's happening at the farm. The farm is alive with death. The farm is alive with spirits. The farm is absolutely alive with the power and the glory. And some of them are cranky sons of bitches, and some of them are just as helpful and benevolent and kind and good as they could be. I take, for example, Mrs. John Arnold, who her name is Abigail. She and her husband John are the caretakers of that house. They know all the spirits. And they know that things were let into that house in the last year that should never have been allowed into that house. And it is time to get John Zaffis' ass up there and clear that house. All he's got to do is drive for a couple of hours from Connecticut, and he can be at the farm and he can clear the house. And we're going to move mountains. We are moving mountains. We are this coalescence that is happening, this momentum, this motivation that is happening to save the farm, not just for its historical integrity. I mean, as an original colonial home, it is one of the most outstanding pieces of architecture that's even left in the United States. And it needs to be preserved and protected and defended and rescued and salvaged and repaired. And all of that needs to happen. And I'm telling everybody, please, if you care at all about this magnificent edifice, $5 $5 to a GoFundMe page. We've already raised close to $200,000.
We're gonna put that link up there for you, Annie, for sure. And I want to get into this. I was going to get into this in a bit, but since we're talking about it, a lot of dark stuff happened in that house too.
Yes,
yeah?
sir. Yeah.
So
but a lot of good stuff happened too. It wasn't all doom and gloom. It was darkness and it was light.
Hence the title of your book.
Exactly.
Hence the title of your book.
But look, from my perspective though, do you feel, because here's the thing, like I know a lot of rodeo clowns and a lot of grade A assholes I'd love to give that house to, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm just sort of, sometimes when I hear you talk about it, it's almost like, and I hate to say it, but like, a little Stockholm syndrome or a battered wife syndrome where it's like, yeah, he slapped me around, but the flowers really brighten up the room that he bought me afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, there's no shortage of assholes in the world. But, and we've had, no shortage. Honest to God, I could point them out just walking in front of this house. But,
so why do you want to save the house? Like, you know what I mean? Like your connection to this house, I mean, I know there's good stuff in it, but do you see what I'm saying? It's like,
no, I do. Connection. But no, Gary, understand this. I was 12 years old. I just turned 67 years old. I've had time to think about this, to process this, to purge whatever needed to be purged. I've had time to heal and to know that what my mother went through in that house and what my sister Cindy went through and what my sister Christine went through and what my sister Nancy went through and what my sister April went through was nothing in comparison. What I went through is nothing in comparison to what they did. I had, for lack of a better word, a multi-dimensional relationship with the spirits. I know that sounds bizarre. I am not sitting on your show trying to convince anybody.
No, it doesn't. I speak about this all the time, interdimensional stuff with my documentation. So please speak your mind and speak your truth. Well, we'd love to hear it.
Well, I'll tell you, there's been faith. All right, I'm going to quote Khalil Gibran. Faith is a knowledge within the heart, beyond reach of proof. There is no proof. And we've got evidence up the yin-yang. Oh my God. I mean, thousands of hours of evidence that has been collected in that house, and years and years and years of people getting EVPs that are like class A EVPs and all kinds of stuff coming back through computers, and the Echo box and the Spirit box and the this box and the that box. I don't need a box. I am the box. They just come to me and they talk to me and they interact with me. And whenever I walk in that house, it doesn't matter what group of people is in that house. Every one of their dinky little light shiny devices light up like Christmas trees. As soon as I walk in the house and I greet the spirits and they hear my voice, I do tours of that house with groups, or I used to, over the phone. And all they had to do was put it on speakerphone. And all I had to do was greet my spirits. And the whole entire house would come alive. And everybody's oohing and eyeing and crying and clapping. And unbelievable emotional response to being actually present with spirit and allowing them to allow us to interact with them. They are real. Spirit is real. Spirit is true. And anybody that is touched by it, you cannot be untouched. Once you have been touched by spirit, that is a permanent condition. There's no fixing it. There's no going back. You can turn your back on it, on that open door, but eventually something is going to come through and tap you on the shoulder and say, I'm right here and I've been here all along. And I think
we agree with you for sure. We're not debunkers here. We're of the believe first sort of place.
Well, good, because believe first is the best way to go. Because you know what, Gary, it's all we've got. All we've got is hope. That's all we've got. And for us to be able to be in a position now technologically, but also spiritually, to be able to determine what spirit is active around us, to be able to feel the presence of my mother after she passed away last year, to know that she is right here with me, to know that my sister is right here with me, to know that they gave Christmas gifts to the dogs. They gave Christmas gifts to the dogs that were under the tree. We don't know where they came from. 2 years ago, before my mother passed away, April brought Christmas gifts to her dog and put them under our Christmas tree. They were not there when we left for the family gathering. They were there when we came home, and no one was in this house except April. You know, this is, when I tell you, the power that they possess to be able to manipulate objects, to be able to literally work in outside of 3D, outside of 4D, even maybe into 5D and beyond. We live in a multi-dimensional universe. We only think that we live in our little 3D shell. Okay, but we have to peck our way out of that and find our way to the truth. And the truth will set you free.
Annie, I want to ask you, because, you know, you talked about it took you years to process. And based on what you just said, you know, the multidimensional self. When did that conclusion come to you? That was not a 12-year-old within 5 minutes saying we're living in multiple dimensions. So when did you...
No, I was about 15 and I was reading Emerson. I was reading his essay Circles, and it made sense to me. It resonated with me, and on Hawthorne resonated with me too.
So you'd already been living in the house for 3 years. You start reading. You're a teenager. You start reading these books and with the metaphysical, and that sort of puts you in this space to sort of really take a grasp on this outlook on life. And did any of that? Has that evolved or changed at all, that worldview versus metaphysical versus spirituality, as you've progressed and learned more about yourself and the house?
Well, keep in mind that I was thrown out of the Catholic Church for asking too many provocative questions.
That's fine by us. We're cool with that.
Completely fine.
Both John and I went to Catholic school, and we are totally like anti-Catholic Church. The church, you know. Yeah.
Well, I love Pope Leo. I'm totally cool with Pope Leo. I'm all down with Pope Leo. But I am never going to self-identify as any specific religion. I mean, I come from an ancient sect. My mother, my father is pure French, from the Alsace-Lorraine area. Their family immigrated to Canada in 1518 and then came down into New England. My mother is Scottish and Cherokee Indian. She was Welsh and Irish and English and a real Heinz 57 mix, but she was also part of the Pecht. She went back to her lineage. When we did her ancestry, went back to the Vikings. So my mother was when she was alive, was one of 9 women left on Earth that had the mitochondrial DNA of a Viking queen. Wow. So I come from good stock.
Sure. Yeah. Ow. So that's sort of what you walked in with, that sort of belief system. And then it slowly changed as a teenager. And then afterwards, did you ever look back and say, I thought this was this then, but now that can you give us a specific example of what you thought it was then and when you were living through it versus how you look at that spirit or entity now and what you think it really was or is?
Our first Easter in the house, we all went to our new parish, which was St. Patrick's in Harrisville. And we had been in the house for several months. Everybody knew what was happening except my father, who is king of denial, who's like, no, it's all your, all you hysterical females. They're like, fuck that noise. There was nothing hysterical about any of us. And he didn't believe us because he was scared shitless. And that's the fact. And you know what? He's just going to have to deal with that and live with that. He's 90 years old. I think he's come to terms with the fact that he was scared shitless, that he had moved his entire family into a house that he had absolutely zero control over. So we all go to church on Easter Sunday. And my sister, we filled our own pew because there were 7 of us. And at the very end of Mass, the priest said, "And the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost." And April turned and looked at my mother, and at the top of her little girl voice, she was only 6 years old, and at the top of her voice, she said, "See, Mommy, God's got ghosts just like we do." And every head in that church turned, and the priest followed my father out with our family, and he said, "Mr. Perron, I would appreciate it if you would take your family and worship elsewhere." And that's what the Catholic
sounds like a
Church,
Catholic
with
priest,
their rituals and their seances and their expulsions and their exorcisms, that he was as scared as anybody else. He didn't want to lose his flock. He didn't want the weird family that had just moved in coming into his church. And my mother and my father got in the car, and my father was livid, furious. My father had been born and raised in the Catholic tradition. He attended parochial school. He was an altar boy for most of his youth. He joined the Navy right out of high school, and then he met my mother and married her. And he was going to come back after the Navy and go into the seminary to become a priest. That is how serious my father was about his Roman Catholic upbringing, and to be shunned and discarded as though we had absolutely no value at all in that parish as a new family moving into the town. He got in the car. I could see, I was sitting in the back seat, and I could see he was just grinding his teeth. And my mother turned and she looked over into the back seat and she said, "Girls, if you want to know God, go to the woods. Go to the woods." And we did. So if we are pagans, then we are pagans, but we went to the woods.
Wow.
And there I found God.
So I was actually going to ask a question about that. There's always so much talk about the farm, but there's so much woods on the property. And when I was, just doing some deep dives, I never heard much about it. And now you're speaking about the woods.
Active, John.
I would love to hear about the woods if you would like to share just a little bit.
April had an experience in the woods that I think is the most compelling. I think it's in volume. No, Nancy too. Nancy had a very compelling experience in the woods. But April went down into, we had 200 acres. And she was about 10 years old. And she went down into a pine forest grove that we had back on the acreage. And she saw children. She saw at least 10 children. And it was right across, it was like a half a mile away, not even a half a mile away from the Nipmuc River, which flooded occasionally, like really badly flooded. And so she was walking through the pine forest and she could see little children dressed as Indians. She said they had the moccasins and they had the little coats, and it was springtime, and they were stepping over lady slippers that were in the pine forest, and they all died together in a flood 200 years before. All those children were swept away by a flash flood.
You're not making me want to keep this house. You're not making me want to keep this house, Annie. I'm telling you right now. I don't know what we're talking about.
But it's brilliant, Gary. It's brilliant. Can you imagine? They were in real time. They were in real time in a pine forest that did not exist when they lived. It was not there.
What do you think after all these years? What is it about the place versus the spirit? Is it Is it a place? Is it a time? Is it a spirit? What is the connection? Why there? What do you think it is? What's going on?
I think that it's a portal or a vortex of some kind. I think that there are extraterrestrials that are definitely involved, and that might make some of your listeners' heads spin right off, but I am very tight with our galactic family. We are not alone in the universe, and that is just a fact. And nobody has to believe me. I don't care who. I really don't give a shit who believes me.
No, it's fine. I want to know. I want to know about your connection.
Listen, as I stated before, the viewers that are going to listen to this, I document interdimensional entities all the time. So
you do have, yes, your reputation precedes you for that, John.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you connect extraterrestrials to spirits?
I think that everything is the same thing. I think that everything is energy. I think that if anybody wants to know what's really going on, that they need to read Einstein and they need to read Tesla, because these were two of the greatest scientific minds of this or any generation, and both of them were deeply faithful people. And Einstein came to it later in life, but he understood that MC squared, E equals MC squared, is divine. And he understands that. And it's just the titular point of us understanding our universe. But we live in a multidimensional universe, which is why in the 1940s, when we started exploding atomic and hydrogen bombs on this planet, they came. If they could get here, they came. And the reason that they came was because not only were we destroying our own planet, we were also doing damage elsewhere in the universe. And that is why we have had the influx of technology, and we have had the influx of sightings, and we have had the influx, although you do not hear of visitations or abductions very much anymore. And there's a reason for that, because the Federation called an end to it. That just has to stop. They have to understand that even if they're just partially humanoid and partially AI, that we have feelings. And
do you believe in past life regression?
I don't know. I've never had it done, and I don't think that I've been here before. And I had a very, very famous, world famous hypnotist that literally threw a check back at me and said, "I can't hypnotize you. You're not from here. Get out of my office."
Well, that's awesome, by the way. I find that
I cried.
Really fantastic.
I went into the goddamn parking deck at the building and sat there and cried for a half an hour because I was only in my 20s and I didn't understand what he was saying to me.
Well, the one thing I did an interview with a QHHT therapist, right? Quantum hypnosis healing therapy and past life regression. And the past life, what I've come to learn about it, what many of them believe in, is that it is not. It's saying past life is a misnomer. It's more of a everything everywhere all at once.
Thank you very much. I now am madly in love with you. I am madly in love with you. Luckily, you are on the other side of the country and you can't deal with this crazy woman person to person. But that is exactly right. You are exactly right.
What you're talking about with energy and dimensions and other, and there's aliens and extraterrestrials, rather, I should say, and the connection between that energy is all something that they believe in wholeheartedly, because it's less about what you were before, but it's what that timeline of you is.
That's right. And it's what you are becoming. It is what you are becoming. We are in a rapid evolution of human consciousness. We are in that right now. And I call it the paradigm shift. And it's very simple to explain. The paradigm shift is what happens when everything changes and nothing is ever the same again. And we have a complete new open opportunity to examine our universe in a completely different way. I wrote a little piece, a treatise as part of one of my books a few years ago, and it's called The Chicken and the Egg. And one night, excuse me, just a second.
I don't know what came first. If you're about to ask me what came first, please don't. I don't have an answer.
No, I have your answer for you.
All right, let's hear it.
I went outside. Well, I was working on a screenplay, actually. And I used to get pushed around quite a bit in the middle of the night. I still do. I'm usually out at about 3 o'clock in the morning every morning talking to my galactic family. And the skylights up and they are beautiful and nobody's around to see. And so it's very, very personal. And I bring the dogs because the dogs are not afraid of them except up close. They don't like them. At a distance is fine, but not up close. But I went outside because I got pushed in my bed. I had already closed down the computer and I went to bed. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning and I got pushed while I was in bed. Well, I was in Florida and it was winter, which meant that I had to put slippers and a robe on to go outside. And I didn't want to go outside. And I said, no, not tonight. Leave me alone. Nope. I got pushed again. I got up, I put my robe, I put my slippers on, I went out into our expansive driveway, and I looked up at the sky and I said, what is it? I was aggravated. I was tired. I was depleted, and I just wanted to go to bed. What is it? And instead of seeing a flash in the sky, or seeing an arc of golden light, or a green streak that literally traced the circular circumference of the world, because sometimes they're far enough out that when they're flying that fast, you can literally see the arc of the world. I didn't see that night. Gary, what I saw was a flash of light that was so bright that it almost knocked me back in the driveway. And in that split second, I was 12 years old again. I was 12 years old, and we had just gone to the chicken farm. And because my parents wanted to be gentlemen and gentle lady farmers, and they wanted their kids to have good fresh eggs. And so they took us across the border to Connecticut to a chicken farm. And there were all the chickens. And there were the farmer and his wife. And the farmer's wife took my mother and all 5 of us into the, I think they call it the candler shop, where they've got all the little eggs set up in incubators. And my father was talking to the farmer. And when we went in there, one of the eggs started to move. And I got so excited. I was just a little kid and I got so excited and I wanted to hold the baby chicken so bad. And I reached over and I put my hand on that egg and I started to crack the shell. And my mother pulled my hand back and she said, no, honey, if you crack the shell, the baby will die. I was mortified. And what she was trying to tell me was the amount of energy that it took for that chicken to peck its way out of its own encasement, out of its own egg, was exactly equivalent to the amount of energy and stamina that would require to live outside the egg. And so all of a sudden, the chicken and the egg took on completely new meaning for me. And I understood that the reason why I never had that memory again was because I learned my lesson that day as a 12-year-old. Do not crack the egg. If the egg does not crack from the inside out, the chicken will perish. And that is true of us. It is true of every single one of us. We have to find our way through our own spiritual evolution. And it's not vertical. It's not horizontal. It's all over the place. And it's every single one of us every day is confronted with 1,000 different things that we need to make a decision about. And how do we want to live? And every morning when we wake up to a new day. And every morning we decide, whether consciously or subconsciously, how do we want this day to be? And I choose to live in the light, and nothing dark can touch me, not even cancer.
I'm feeling a little guilty about eating scrambled eggs this morning. I'll tell you that after.
Well, you should, because you know what? I had them yesterday morning and I felt guilty too. But I have to eat something because I've lost so much friggin' weight so fast.
I got to tell you, your energy is top shelf. I can't. Yeah. I mean, if you didn't tell us you were battling cancer right now, I would never guess it.
We would have known.
Yeah, I mean that, like, truthfully.
Yeah. Because I'm not putting up with this bullshit. Yeah, okay, now that I know, I mean, you started this show with a fuck. Okay, so yeah. I'm going to tell you my daily mantra. My daily mantra is get the fuck out of my big fat fluffy temple now, you rotten son of a bitch. Go back and live with your father, the devil. Amen. That is my mantra.
That's intent.
That is intent.
That is intent. I speak of intent all the time. That is intent. And it's strong.
Andy, how do you tell people, or do people come to you and ask you, like, what do I do with this ghost in my house? Or what do I do with this? How do you...
I thought you were about to ask her how she like her scrambled eggs.
No.
Sauce with cheese.
I love it with cheese.
Baby.
Little corned beef.
Corned beef, a little hash, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I hate corned beef.
Oh, John,
corned beef never agreed with me.
We're going to have to chow down. I'm telling you.
Oh, we're going to have to, definitely.
Gary, I don't know. I don't know if he can handle it or not.
No, I'm not a corned beef eater. Not a chance. Not for me. There's certain things I won't touch. I can go through the rest of my life without ever having it. But it's when you have such a strong outlook on it, but not everybody is. I'm going to say not everybody's as strong as you are. I'll tell you that right now. Even some of the people we've met and dealt with. So, how do you help? What kind of advice do you give people? One, to identify with what they're dealing with, how to process what they're dealing with, and how to live with or leave that situation.
All right, I'm going to say something now that is going to be difficult to hear. A lot of these people have mental illness issues. A lot of these.
I say it all the time. I say it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do not do home investigations. I've never done investigations. Why would I need to investigate jack shit? I'm going and looking for something I already know exists. That's ridiculous. But I know a lot of people that do home investigations, and they will walk into a house of squalor and screaming babies and dirty diapers and dishes in the sink and pets that have not been cared for. And then they walk in and they say, what can we do to help you? And the woman says, I have a demon in my house. She's the demon. She's the demon. I don't believe in demons. I've never seen a demon. I don't know what a demon is. I know that there is evil in the world. All you have to do is turn the news on, and on any given night, and you can watch all the evil that you could possibly want to see. The proof is, good and evil exist in this world. And that's just how it is. But she is the one that's attached. She is the one that's struggling. She is the one that is scared. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. My throat is so dry.
Take your time.
Orange juice.
Yo.
It's the good stuff.
With vodka?
Okay. And this happens, sadly, much more than you might think that it does. But there are actual cases of infestation, and there are actual cases where I believe that an exorcist is a necessary fixture in the placement of it. And Ed and Lorraine Warren dealt with some of that themselves. And I have had some personal experience with it as well. Not for me personally, but from a very, very close friend of mine who was invited to assist on an exorcism. And the woman in the room turned to him and told him things about his childhood that she could not possibly have known. And he was completely and totally freaked out, and he had to leave the exorcism, and he had to leave the house, and he's never looked back.
It feels, let me ask you this, because when I hear about exorcisms, in that sense, which is a very religious ceremony.
Yeah, it is.
Is it a bit performative? Is it more just a way to show? Yeah,
it is.
Right?
It is. Okay. And that's very unfortunate. There was no exorcism in our house. My mother was not possessed. My mother was attacked by something that Lorraine Warren's spiritual medium invited into the house during a seance that my father did not want to happen. And within 5 minutes, Gary, I am telling you, I'm looking directly into your eyes. I am telling you, within 5 minutes, my mother was levitating in a chair and was tossed 20 feet from the middle of our dining room into the middle of our parlor. And when her head struck the floor that night, I blamed the Warrens. And when her head struck the floor that night, everyone that was present in that house thought they had just watched my mother die. So I know about childhood trauma. And that was, of everything that I have ever had to deal with in my entire life, that was the worst moment of my life, watching my mother fly. was the worst moment of my life. And she was out of it. She was completely like not comatose, but catatonic. She never knew. Right till the day she died, she never had any memory of that night. But everybody else that was present in that house that night, including Ed Warren, that took a punch right directly in the face from my father because he tried to stop my father from going to my mother. And that was a big mistake. I mean, that was a big mistake, like Marie Antoinette saying, let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake.
Except that she made a bigger mistake. And what she said after that was that cost her head was never party with peasants. Party with the fucking peasants, okay? Party with the peasants. You want to party? Party with the peasants.
Poverty made her uncomfortable, Annie. Poverty made her uncomfortable. I get it.
Yeah, I guess it did. I'm sure. But, just as an aside, because, my mother always said that I was the queen of high strangeness. And she always said that I row with one oar in the river of consciousness and go in circles and circles and circles. But you know what? Here's the thing about the river of consciousness, the river of life. When we're little kids and we see this incredible body of water spread out in front of us, our life ahead of us, we're excited. And we might actually toe dabble, and we might go sit on the bank of the shore and let the water run over our toes, but it's scary because it's so fast and it's so powerful. And then we get older and we get older and then we get older, and then we start to crave jumping into that life body of water. And then we think that what we want is up around the corner, around the bend, and we can't see it, but we jump into this raging body of water and we start swimming against the current because we think what we want is someplace that we can't see it when it's right in front of us. And when your lungs are on fire and your arms are burning and you have got nothing left to expend, flip over and float. The universe knows the way.
I mean,
I agree.
That's a wildly powerful way to think about how to just get through any tough time.
Flip over and float, baby.
People panic. Roll with it.
Yeah.
Roll with
and
it.
And then they drown. They drown in their own despair, and they drown in their own struggling, and they drown looking for faith that was right there with them all along.
But is that an advice tip for someone who might be going through a similar experience of what you were going through? It's like, look, get on your back and roll with these things around you.
I have been through this last 8 days. I have had 3 PET scans, 3 MRIs, infusions, building a mask for radiation for the 5 tumors that they have discovered in my brain. And it has absolutely nothing, I'm sure that you can tell from my conversation with you, that 5 little tumors in my brain, a couple of lesions and a couple of little tumors, are not in any way impacting me negatively. I am not putting up with this. Get out of my fluffy temple now.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that there is a possibility that what you're experiencing now is due to your exposure to these interdimensional energies and powers?
No.
No?
No. I think that I'm supposed to have this cancer so that I can heal from this cancer, so that I can write a book and tell other people how to heal from cancer. I think that that's exactly what's happening, and that it's part of my mission. It's part of my journey, and I embrace it. I embrace it not as a perversion. Because of this cancer, we're going to get the farmhouse back, and we're going to save that farmhouse because people care so much about me, and I am so deeply grateful, and I am so humbled, and I can't even tell you the outreach for me, for Jason Hawes to be able to fulfill my greatest wish, which would be my greatest legacy. It would be my greatest legacy to be any part of a pivotal part of changing the outcome and the history of this house and giving it a future.
Well, I think your positivity alone towards your affliction right now is amazing. And I think so many people hearing your words about that subject, you probably do a lot of good. helping a lot of people. So that's awesome. Your attitude is just incredible. I
mean, even the attitude towards this haunted horror show, The House, is amazing to me. Like, first of all, I mean, I don't even know. That's, like I said, if I bought the house, I'm burning it down. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to build a new house.
So therefore, you're not allowed to buy the house.
No, you don't want me to have it. Now, I'll support whoever. But so, what do you want to see? Why do you want it to be bought? And what do you want it to be in 10 years from now? It's bought by somebody you admire, you respect. They bought it. What is happening there?
What is happening is that we are making films and we are making documentaries and we are documenting evidence that is irrefutable evidence. And we are capturing and capturing and capturing more and more and more. And what we are doing is we are letting people into the house to feel the fire of this house, to feel the energy of this house, to feel the blessed, burning, sacred bush of this house. It is.
Is there any fear? Is there anything in that house that's off limits that you wouldn't want people to go near or experience?
No.
Just even though what you lived through and seen?
No
what
fear.
Your mother went through?
No, there should be no fear. As soon as I walk in that house, as soon as I'm associated with that house, everything is calm. Everybody steps forward. Everybody has whatever they have to say. You know, I've worked with Cody and Satori in the house. They are absolutely brilliant. They practice numismatism, which is a very rare spiritual art, and they are brilliant at it. And I don't care what anybody ever has to say about Cody and Satori. Cody and Satori are my children. They are my adopted children. Thankfully, Jason Hawes was kind enough to share his daughter with me. Cody's parents are totally fine if I just take them, take him completely off their hands. And these are my people, and this is my tribe. And Friday night when I do my show, I have a podcast called A World Awakening on, well, it's everywhere. It's just kind of everywhere. KGRA radio, but it's a multicast all over the world. And on Friday night, I'm going to have the entire team of caretakers from the farm and all of our plans and everything that we want to do. And I will be there, and I will be taking my friends, and I will find a way to get on a plane, and I will find a way to bring my agent with me so that if I need any help, I will have the assistance that I need. My dear Greta Reefer, who's my agent, and my dear, dear friend. And I will go to the farm, and we will welcome and embrace everybody, because that's the thing. This farm is for the community. This isn't Jason's farm. This isn't Cody and Satori's farm. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone. He just has to facilitate the sale. So we're talking about money. We can raise the money. The money's almost raised. We're doing
and
really well.
We'll be sure to put a link to this GoFundMe in the link tree in my bio and in this description of this when we drop this episode for sure. There had to be a point of, absolutely, no, thank you. What was the point where you realize that even a spirit that might have appeared to be combative now is not, when did that realization click, and sort of the discovery of that and how you classified it?
Well, my attitude about it was knock it off, and I had a couple of incidents where like some smoky gray stuff started seeping under my door, and I'm like, I'm busy. I'm doing my homework now. You're going to have to come back another time. That's always just been my attitude with them. And then, it just smoky seeps away and just goes away. I mean, I have an ongoing relationship with the spirits at the farm. I have always had that. I will always have that. There are members of my family that my mother never went back after the day that we left that farm. She never went back. My sister Cindy will never go back. Christine will never go back. Nancy would go back in a heartbeat. And April is still attached to our little Henry Richardson, or Oliver. We don't know if his name was Henry or Oliver, but the little boy that she met at the farm that she befriended. And I have animals walking. Sorry.
No, we're all about,
That's
especially
fine.
Cats here. So you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got the kitty and 2 doggies, but they're being good. I had to shut down everything so that they get distracted while I was doing my interview.
No, it's all right. So you know your connection. Do you feel that you have left some of your energy in that house?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. But it's all positive. It's all positive, and they know that I love them. Even the cranky ones. You know, they had hard lives, Gary. I mean, these people didn't have electricity. They didn't have running water. They didn't have heat unless they cut it down off their own property.
Say no more. My idea of camping is a 4 seasons where the TV's down.
Yeah, I know. So a total nervous breakdown. Oh my God, the cable's down.
No way.
You know, really? We have no idea
I'm a
the
princess.
hardships they faced. Bathsheba Sherman, she lost all of her children except one before the age of 4. You know what that woman went through and then got blamed for. She didn't do anything wrong. Bathsheba didn't do anything wrong. I know Bathsheba. She didn't do anything wrong. It was Mrs. Warren that decided to pin everything on her and then wrote it up in a case file that got made into a fictional film. You know, the real story is so much more compelling and so deeply spiritual and so filled with empathy and compassion. You know, these spirits had hard lives. And who knows? I mean, think about 200 years ago. Everybody's all freaked out about their religion now, okay? Now imagine 200 years ago when you have decided that it's the end of your life and you have climbed a ladder and hung yourself in the barn. Okay, now, do you go to the light, or is that light fire and brimstone of hell everlasting because you dared to challenge God and take your life, which was the predominant belief system at the time? So suicide was considered the ultimate sin. Or do you stay where you're comfortable? Do you stay where you are known, where the other spirits are, where your family and your ancestors still are? Do you stay comfortably at home even though you are free, finally, from a body ravaged by wounds and pain and age? Do you stay home or do you go to the light? And what does that light mean? And is it the light of everlasting salvation or is it the light of damnation? Now,
that's a great point.
Ghost 200 years ago and ask yourself that question.
Right, perspective is a great
would you
a piece of this that you don't ask.
Would you say that, let's say, people believe in attachments and spirits following them and whatnot. Would you say if somebody walked in there with the spirit that has never been on the farm, would you say that the farm would have a way of elevating or amplifying that
and welcoming them? I have 2 friends. This is a very important story, and I know we're running short on time, but this is very important. Please take your time. And
take your time. I have as much time as you do. If you get tired, you want a break.
If you've got time, definitely.
We've got it.
John, this will particularly appeal to you because of your research. I have 2 friends. One of them has passed away now, but had 2 friends. One of them had a profound hearing loss, and one of them was blind. And when they went to the farm, their sensory perceptions were completely healed for the time that they were on that property. And then when they left the property, the impairments returned. What is that?
Wow. And just, I just want to point out, this is a place that the media, in Hollywood and everything has turned into, a horror. And here's a beautiful story. And that goes into another question I was going to ask you, but you just answered it there. What a beautiful story of 2 people with, one's blind, one's deaf, and then all of a sudden having the chance and the experience to hear and see. That is just amazing. That's amazing. Return. So what do you think that is? Yeah. Why do you think it was the spirits there allowing them to see and hear?
The house is on ley lines.
Okay.
There's rivers and creeks and water, and it's on the Lost River of New Hampshire that was buried during the last ice age.
Yep.
And that's the well for the house. It was 700 feet down when they finally struck water. My father had a new well put in, and 700 feet down is pretty damn deep to go. And they found the Lost River of New Hampshire. You can literally stand on that property and you can feel the raging river moving 700 feet
underneath
below where you are standing. You can feel the vibration in the stone walls. You can lay on the bridge overneath, over above the Nipmuc River, and you can feel the trembling of the earth. This place is absolutely alive. I don't know if you're familiar with FLIR technology, but I have a FLIR picture of that farm that looks like it's on fire. It's a nighttime shot of a FLIR picture of that farm with energy coming off of it to the extent that it looks like it's fully engulfed in flames.
Was this an aerial shot? Was this taken from like a aerial, like a drone?
No, it was taken from the ground.
From the ground. Wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
But this speaks to a lot of what a lot of people we've spoken to, different mediums or even witches or people who have experience when you have this thought of vibration and energy and how everything vibrates and everything's connected in that energy.
Frequency. Yes.
Frequency is another one. And let me ask you this. Here, this is John's theory, and I tend to sort of lean into it. And John, I'm going to speak for it. I'll articulate it for you a second, of what spirits are, which is sort of our, we all have energy within us, right? We all have energy.
That's what keeps our heart beating.
Right.
Yes.
We have a literal electric synapses firing at all times.
At all times.
And so the belief is that spirits are our memories or our consciousness, because we really don't know what the mind is or what that does. Attached to that energy that gets dissipated when we pass.
Yes.
That consciousness. That's kind of what.
But it doesn't dissipate. It transforms.
It
does not. Energy cannot be destroyed, and it cannot be created.
Yep. It transforms. It transfers. 100%.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's kind of how we look at what a spirit is. It's this consciousness, this memories of ours, taking on a new space or whatever that may be. Yeah. Do you feel that the house, the farm, is somehow a magnet? That might be a bad word for that energy.
It's an excellent word choice. And I am magnetized to the farm, and the farm is magnetized to me. And I have that, and my father has it too, and my sister Nancy has it too. Absolute magnetism. My father had a relationship with one of the spirits that was very problematic with my mother. It's like a big chunk of volume 2 of the trilogy. But the third volume was the hardest to write. And even though it is the shortest of the 3 volumes of House of Darkness, House of Light, it was also when we left the farm. And I thought it would be the easiest to write because, okay, yada, yada, we, did our thing. And now it's time to leave the farm. But oh my God, that's where everything opens up in volume 3. That's where everything opens up and we realize there was a spirit. My sister refused to move. She refused to move. She was so angry at my parents for selling the farm, my sister Nancy. And when we left the farm that day, there was an apparition standing right behind her. And 2 days later, when we got to Georgia and Cindy was waiting at the new house in Georgia, that same apparition was standing behind the window in the new house in Georgia, 1,200 miles away, 2 days later. And my mother grabbed my hand and she said, "This is not over. This will never be over." And no truer words were ever spoken by a mortal soul.
Wow. Wow.
I look at, why do you think that your family has that, how do I ask this question? What makes you think that you're more of a magnet or an attraction for spirit?
I have absolutely no idea, other than I'm not from here. I am on the earth, but I am not of this earth, which is why I know I can defeat anything that comes my way, and then I can show other people how to do exactly the same thing. And that is my mission, and that is my purpose. And I am here to spread love, because love is our superpower. Love is everything. And when we tap into that frequency, and when that resonates with each and every one of us, and we understand that we are, each and every one of us, a member of one common human family, and that we are not alone in the universe, and that we are loved, and that we are protected, and that we are envisioned to live lives of promise and purpose. And I live a life of promise and purpose, and I don't let anything dark come near me. Nothing is allowed to come near me.
Well, that's for sure. I have no doubt that you're going to attack this latest ailment with the same level of intent that you've kept definitely. Spirits at bay, without question. Do you consider yourself like a medium of any kind?
No.
Not at all.
I'm everything. We're all everything. I don't put labels. I do not, I manipulate energy, but I don't list myself as a witch. I have witchy characteristics. I am able to do things that other people cannot do. I am able to leave my body when I'm laying on a table and look at myself being, like a CT scan. I watched from above, and I didn't move a muscle because they had to line that mask up exactly right. So I didn't move a muscle. I laid there like I was looking at a dead body on an ice slab. And that was 2 days ago in the hospital in the morning. I am unaffected, completely unaffected by anything in this realm that challenges me. I will not tolerate conflict. I will not tolerate discord. I will not tolerate hatefulness. And I am all about spreading the light and the love. There is one message and one message only. And I don't care what people do or what they say or how this perversion of faith that has happened around the world, perversion of faith. That's how we got Hamas. That's how we got this. That's how we got that. We are in a place now of absolute revolution and evolution. And the word love is in both of those words. The word love is in both of those words.
I blame social media.
Our attention on that.
I blame social media, even though that's terrible to say because we use it
for everything.
I mean, we unfortunately we're social media babies here, and it's John's. That's where he built his audience. It's sort of the new way of doing things, but I truly believe it is an existential threat. Certainly to civility.
It's an existential threat to civility.
And it's really been, people can just say things and they don't think about consequences.
And they don't care who they offend.
It's like
who they hurt.
When I deal with spirits and I tell people, everyone's like, oh, it's so negative. This is so negative. And it's like, no, it's not. The problem is that the negative for some odd reason is more loud than the positive. And it's the same with social media. Social media can bring people together and bring communities together. But at the same time, it can tear things apart. When it tears things apart, it seems louder, but it's not.
Enragement is engagement.
Exclusive, John. They're not mutually exclusive. Both can be true at once.
I agree.
And therein lies your problem.
Exactly. It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a world we're living in.
What a world we're living in.
What a world.
We have the power to change it.
We do.
We do. And I believe that, and I will believe that till I draw my last breath on this earth. I will never stop. I will never stop. I want to bring light into people's lives. And you know what? When I am in a group of people and I'm doing an event and people walk up to me and they wrap their arms around me and they start to sob and they tell me things that they've never told anyone ever. Not their parents, not their siblings, not their spouse, but they tell me because they know that I'm trustworthy, and what they're telling me, I can say to them and look in their eyes and say, I believe you. And those 3 words are just as powerful as I love you.
That is true. That is true. When you give somebody you let them know that you're listening, being a listener as opposed to a talker is great.
And they sob because they've been touched by spirit and they don't understand, and it's scary to them. And I tell them, be not afraid. There is nothing to be afraid of. We are more powerful. When people tell me they're having an issue in their house, I'm like, sit down and make 2 cups of tea and put a nice little piece of china on the table and have a talk with the spirit that you consider offending you.
Yeah.
Annie, what if first of all, again, thank you for your time here, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. You've given us a lot of time,
Yeah, really appreciate it. An amazing interview.
What are some questions
it's my pleasure. You both, you couldn't be more delightful, and I will join you anytime. I know I'm in like really metaphysical headspace today.
I love it. No, I love it, because what I want to know is you have put so many pieces together. You have made very clear decisions of what you have experienced. Categories. What questions do you have still about what you've experienced? Are there any?
No.
You have no questions you want left unanswered that are
I
unanswered?
wanted to make sure that my mother, I have a friend who's a medium. She called me a few months ago. When my baby sister April died in 2017, she died quite suddenly and tragically from a fentanyl overdose that was given to her by her doctor. And she was only 51 years old. She was 2 weeks away from her 52nd birthday. It fucking devastated our family. We lost our baby girl for no good reason other than a really botched prescription. And April came to us, and before she was supposed to go in and have surgery on her neck, she came and she brought her little dog Sammy down here so that he could stay while she was in the hospital. And the next morning, when my niece went to pick her mom up to take her to the hospital, she found her body. And it was that was like kind of the beginning of the end. Because we were no longer a family of 7, and yet we still are. And yet April is there. So anyway, my friend Kristen calls me, and she's like, you have a question for your mother. And Mom passed away in June of last year. And she said, you have a very specific question for your mother. And I said, well, let me think, because I didn't expect to hear from her. And I said, yes, I need to know if Mom and April are together. That's all I need to know, if Mom and April are together. And she got very quiet. And then she said the most important, impactful words to me. She said, pineapple upside down cake. When April came down, she wanted Mom to make her a pineapple upside down cake. And Mom kept putting her off and saying, I'll do it after your surgery. But she never came home. And I knew that when Kristen said that they were together, because my mother regretted that to the last breath, that she never made that cake for April. And that's all April asked for, and it's all she wanted. And Mom didn't make the cake for her because she was going to make it when she came home to recover from the surgery. And I know that they are together, and I know, as hard as it is not to be able to feel them in my arms anymore, I feel them in my heart, and I embrace them, and I feel the healing that's coming from them. And I am so grateful to you and to John and to everybody who is being supportive and so kind and compassionate and generous of spirit. We are all spirit. Each and every one of us is a form of spirit. We're just having a human experience right now, and all we need to do is breathe and flip over and float and find our way, because the universe knows the way home.
You know what's top shelf about you, Annie, is that I ask you a question of like, what is there something you know that you don't want to know? And the story, and you say no, and the story you give is so personal. And like, I know, I got it. I'm covered. I know my mom's there. I know my sister's there. Yeah. I got it. I got all the answers I need. And that is quite That is quite.
I agree. I mean, listen, remove all the experiences you had at the farm, remove all of this, and Annie, you are such a pleasant person to speak to.
That is wild.
It's this has been an amazing interview. So thank you for that. Thank you for listen, everything.
And we will, of course, we're going to put the GoFundMe up again. That link will be in the description here and in the link tree in my bio for the Conjuring House that they're trying to keep it preserved. I think that's being the face of that is Jason Hawes, who you guys would know.
Yes.
The OG from Ghost Hunters, who spawned a lot of babies here in social media and elsewhere to get into ghost hunting. I don't know if he realizes what he's done to the world of the paranormal by doing that show and creating people like my nephew here to start, but it's
I love it.
It's funny, but great. We'll post that for you. I mean, you clearly have a passion for it. We want to help you out any way we can. We thank you for your time, and your story is wonderful. And I think I want people to look at it as your story is one of survival on many fronts and coping and living with what one would think might be the most horrible situation to be in, and recognizing you can easily get through it with understanding, education, empathy. Read a fucking book, learn about what this is, understand what you're dealing with, and you can get through all of it. And I really find your outlook on not only on what spirits are, but how to deal with them and how to move past it is something that is, I hope our audience likes it. I love it. It's sort of, it paints a bigger picture for us in this quest of trying to figure out what are we dealing with and what are all these people talking to on these spirit boxes. And I love getting your perspective. Annie, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
And I will join you anytime. Pick a subject, any subject.
That is great.
Except cryptids. Because I'm pretty sure that Harry and the Hendersons are extra dimensional beings that just pop in, and we're never going to find a carcass. That's all I got to say about that. They're just, they're visiting. They're just visitors like so many other visitors to the planet. And, that's my take on cryptids. We can skip that episode and just go right into the extraterrestrials next time, because I have friends in high places.
We would love that, as I would love that. I would love to dive into all that.
I know, we haven't even gotten into, I haven't even gotten my head around. I'm just trying to get a handle on ghosts. Now, it's like, trying to figure out like skinwalkers and shit like that. I mean, you got to be out of your mind. It's like, I got to worry about aliens now too.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, there's nothing to worry about. You see, we're the danger, not them. They pose no danger and no threat to us. We're the danger.
That's what I always say. Fear the living.
I don't want to probe this.
Yeah, fear the living, not the dead. Fear the living, not the dead.
Well, if they're alive, they might want to get all up in this and probe things that I don't necessarily want probed.
Yeah.
You might like it, Gary.
No,
you might like it.
Don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I might like it. That's fair enough.
And I did not say that. John said that.
I said that.
He did.
Okay.
I know he did. All right. Well, that's it for another episode of Splintered Spirits. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay curious.